Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what tanks are good for ratings. Now, ratings, those of you that are not aware, it's been out for a while, and it's a very good thing to have. If you just want to play away from the usual matchmaking. Usually the further you go along with ratings, the better players you come up against, and the better competition the battle is. Rather than coming up against the 40% or even the 30% players, you usually come up against the 60% plus players. Now, it's not always the case, of course. There are people that have 40% that can get to 6,000 plus ratings, because a lot of it is they rely on their team and they just play an awful lot. But the majority of the time you will come up against good players, but you got to be patient. You got to get there first. Of course, you got to get to the ratings, you got to get to the levels, sort of the 5k mark, and then that is where you will start to do a little bit better. But in today's video, we're just going to look at a couple of tanks that I like playing ratings, and they're actually a really good team tanks. And of course, the first one is the new tank, the Rhinoceronte. Absolutely an amazing tank, and because of that that two shells that you can either shoot both at the same time, or you can reload one after the other, I think the Rhinoceronte is a very good team tank, and I think it's fantastic for ratings. So moving on to the next tank, we're only going to look at 3 tanks. Of course, there are a number of tanks that are good for ratings, but I've really picked out my top 3 tanks for ratings. So moving on to tank number 2. So tank number 2, we've changed it up. We've gone with a tank destroyer, and I think the E3 is a fantastic team tank, especially with how strong it is. You know, the armor profile is great. Obviously, it's not as strong if you are on flat ground, and a lot of people now have been dealing with the E3 a lot easier. But for ratings, I still think it's a fantastic tank, especially if your team go the way you want them to go. With you, as long as you can go with them and you have that support, it's one of the best tank destroyers, in my opinion, to play in ratings. Of course, there are a few others. The XM, which we know is one of my is my favorite tank in the game. But yeah, I think overall, I think the E3, we're only really talking about tech tree tanks. We're not going to talk about premium tanks, because we want everybody to be able to get the tanks. And if I start running some premium tanks in here, then people will start saying, well, that's not fair because I can't afford that tank, and you're telling me that it's the best tank in ratings, but yet we can't play it. We can't, we haven't got it. So I've only gone with tech tree tanks here. So the E3, absolutely amazing tech tree tank. And again, as I've said, there are a couple of others. There's a couple of tanks that are I like to play in ratings, like the Grill and tanks like that, but it's not everyone's cup of tea, and not everyone is going to perform really well in the Grill. So I haven't added tanks like the Grill or the FV4005, for example, and I've just gone with the easier tank to play, and that is, of course, the E3. Absolutely amazing and a perfect tank for ratings. That then leads me on to the final tank in this video. And we've gone with the medium, and we've gone with the Progetto. Now, this one was a hard choice, and the reason I've gone with the medium is because I didn't want to just go with heavies. I didn't want to just go with tank destroyers. There are a couple of mediums that are good as well. The E50 was on my list. The E50M was on my list, but ultimately I went with the Progetto because of that auto reloader, and the auto reloader can really cause damage. You can reload all 3 shells if you want. You can clear up tanks. If they're sort of a 2-shot, you can clear them up, get some kills, or ultimately you can just reload all 3 shells and get damage, because ratings isn't just about winning, it's about performing. Even if you lose and you perform, then you're still going to gain points. So you're not just going to lose points if you lose the game. And this battle is the classic example of that. Actually, it really pissed me off, this battle, and we're going to watch the rest of it, because I did a good job. I think I did a good job, but I really messed up at the end, and it went from a sort of position where I'm just going to get as much damage as I can because this is almost impossible to win this game. But yeah, I really am frustrated with the ending. So a lot of people play mediums, a lot of people play good DPM tanks because, and it's sometimes really frustrating because a lot of people are good players, really good players. Sometimes they don't go for the win, and that is really, really frustrating when it comes to ratings. Sometimes the medium tanks don't go where they should go, but they go and farm damage because they know that all they need is damage to get points. Then they don't care if they win or lose. That's the only frustrating thing about ratings, especially when it does come to medium players. So far 2,800 damage. I do go out and I do get shot a couple of times from this Pidgeotto, but I did want to save my Death Star. If I would have ignored him and carried on hiding, then I could have actually taken out that guy without getting a single shot from him. But I wanted to keep my Death Star alive, and it may pay the price later on. So here we're on 3.5k damage. So we've already done a decent amount of damage. We've still got 4 minutes left on the clock. There's no point me staying around and dying in the next sort of 5 seconds. I'm going to try and split these guys up. They're not quick tanks. I know one of them is a one-shot, but if I could reload my magazine and get them one by one, I can get as much damage as I can. Now, at this point, I'm not expecting to win this game one bit because there's still a lot of hit points out there. And if I'm shot from the Chieftain or the E5, then I'm a one-shot to the E3. So I'm not expecting to win this game at all. I just want to, at this point, get as much damage as I possibly can. So there's the Chieftain. I've got all 3 shells reloaded, and I can actually take him out. So there's one. I'm actually going to take a shot from this guy, but, I would take that because I'm actually going to clear him, and now that is 4.6k damage. So even at this point, I could die, and I still think I'm going to get plus points because I've still got 4,500 damage. I've still got 3 kills, but when I now bring it down to a 1 versus 2, now I'm thinking, if I reload all 3 shells, I know that the E5 is a one-shot. I can do this. The E3 doesn't have a turret. If I can get behind him and, manage to spot these guys, take him out from distance without even being spotted. So, of course, now I do need to reset the cap, and the E3 knows where I'm shooting him from. He knows where I am, and I could have gone around, but I decided I wasn't going to. So at this point, I'm like, do I try and bait a shot? Too late. He manages to get the shot, and now I just need to get all 3 of my shells out on this guy as soon as I possibly can. So I do get the shot, bring him down to a one-shot, and I'm like, okay, I can win this as long as I hide and reload at least 2 shells. If he pushes around this corner, all I've got to do is go for the track. And I'm like, do you know what? I can win this. And then something just really frustrating. I don't even know. I haven't even watched this back, so I just have no idea. So I've still got a minute and a half left. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to be patient. I'm just going to be patient and wait for him to make the mistake, because surely, I'm on 5.9k damage. I've already done a great job. Surely he's going to want the win. He's on 3 kills as well. I'm just going to be patient, wait for him to come around the corner, and then, who knows? I could get the win. So I'm just going to sit here, and wait, and then I die. So I think he got me just around there. I think I showed... really frustrating. I thought he was going to make the mistake, and out of nowhere, just bang, he killed me. But fair play to that E3. So yeah, that is why I love the Pidgeotto, because of that auto reloader, and you can get as much damage as you possibly can. And as you can see, we still lost the game, and I still managed to get more points than their second place person. Obviously the E3, because he done a really good job, 38 points. The second player, 3k, and he only got 24. However, with me, I got 35 points. So it's not just about winning in ratings. So that's why I like tanks that can also do the damage, and that can do damage very easily. So those are my 3 tanks. Those are the 3 tanks that I love playing. Of course, there are a lot more tanks, E50, that, as I've said, and even the old standard, the T22, the T62, IS4s, and of course some of the OP premiums as well. But those are my bulk 3 standard favorite ratings tanks in the game. Let me know what your favorite ratings tank is and how well you perform. I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.